First, I want to thank you all for coming tonight. I really appreciate it. We've had 2 nights over at Harris and Nord, and they've been very successful. So we, again, hopefully tonight's successful for you, and we can answer some questions and show you some things that can help you at home with our new math program. My name is Michael Molnar. I'm the Executive Director of Educational Services here in Amherst. It's kind of a long title, but I'm kind of the Assistant Superintendent. I handle curriculum and instruction, professional development, our federal programs like Title I. I oversee the gifted program, couple other things, and anything that the superintendent tells me to do. That's basically, I'm that guy. So, so if you ever have a question that goes beyond the teacher or the principal even, maybe a question that's even broader in scope, then feel free always to email me or give me a call. My door is always open. I actually joke, if you come to the board office and meet with me there, I actually don't even have a door. It's just an open area, space in my office. So you're more than welcome anytime. At the end, I'll show you my email and phone number, but if you want to write it down now, it's like everyone else in the district. It's my first _ last name, Mike _ Molnar, M-O-L-N-A-R, at amherstk12.org. Okay? Again, thank you for coming tonight. I'm so appreciative. It's so wonderful to see parents turn out for these events. It shows how dedicated and invested you all are. And so tonight, well, after I introduce, let me just introduce Mrs. Waller. Debbie Waller is the principal. She's here as well. And Debbie, you want to introduce some of the teachers that also attended tonight?
I'm glad to have Meg Rickler stand up. I'm so I can see you. Meg Rickler, our 2nd grade teacher. And Meg has worked with enVisionMATH now for a few years, so she's kind of our resident expert. We also have Heather Large, kindergarten teacher. Kayla Sorowski. You probably have to stand up so the people in the back can see you. And Brenda Leinbach, kindergarten teacher also. So, again, any questions you might have about the math? A lot of times I get calls from parents maybe about the homework, the different activities that kids are experiencing for the first time. If your child was in kindergarten or first kindergarten this year, they're seeing enVisionMATH for the first time. If you have a child who's in 1st grade or 2nd grade, they're getting enVisionMATH again for the very first time. Our district K-6 has started the program, and I think it's going to be a big success.
Okay. Thank you, Debbie. So tonight for the agenda, we're going to go over why enVisionMATH, just a brief overview of why the district selected enVisionMATH. We're not going to spend too much time with that. We want to keep it, a nice, concise, brief meeting tonight. Also, an overview of the enVisionMATH program, just to get a feel for it. And then a demonstration of online resources, which we'll do right in here. I'll do the demonstration. And then there'll be time afterward. If you so choose, we have the lab ready. We have the direction sheet in front of you that if you'd like to try here tonight before you leave with some teacher help or staff help, then you're more than welcome to join in the lab down around the corner, and we can help you log in and just try a few things if you want to just be comfortable with it. If not, if you choose near the end not to stay because you're comfortable of going home and taking care of and checking things out at line at home, then again, you're more than free to go at that point too. Also, we'll have questions along the way. If you have a question for the whole group and you think it might be something very important for everyone, please raise your hand and just kind of ask the question, and we'll kind of answer it as best we can. And then, but if it's something specific for your child, for the classroom teacher or for Mrs. Waller, that's specific for your child, certainly hold it to the end, and Ms. Waller and I and everyone's available to help you with that, so we can just kind of keep the program flow going. Okay? So let's talk about why enVisionMATH. Well, there's 2 things I want to touch upon tonight. The first one is mathematical content and then mathematical practices. So mathematical content is basically what students must learn. It's the what. Right now, back in 2010, the state of Ohio adopted the new learning standards, which affectionately is known as the Common Core. And so that came into play in 2010 to be implemented this year in 2014. So the what are the standards that are set by the state of Ohio. They're not set by our Board of Education or our teachers or principals or the superintendent. The standards are set by the Ohio Department of Education, and those were set back in 2010 to change from our old standards. Standards aren't new. We had standards back in 2001. Before then we had standards back in the 90s, and those have changed over the years. And when it comes to change, I mean, education is all about change. Things change all the time. correct? So it's not something that's new, but the standards are new, and it's one of the reasons that we are implementing a new program in enVisionMATH here in the district. So again, the what, or the mathematical content, is set by the state of Ohio. Then there are mathematical practices, and mathematical practices are basically how students demonstrate application of knowledge, skills, and understanding. So you have the what, and this is the how. And the how is the part that is really up to the teacher in the classroom. They're the experts. And so how it's brought, it can come across the students, resources, programs, curriculum, but the instructional practices of how it's delivered to the students, that is really open for creativity by the teacher. Now there are resources and textbook adoptions that we do to provide teachers with resources in the classroom, and certainly we expect teachers to use those resources and to adhere to them, because again, they are aligned to the standards, or the what, that they have to teach. But certainly I do not tell the teachers, Mr. Sayers, their superintendent, does not tell the teachers, the principals don't tell the teachers how to teach it. They have the resources available. I mean, they're the experts, that's their job to teach it, okay? And so, and we are here to support them in doing so. So that's the mathematical practices of the what and the how it's accomplished, or how it's done. With the new Common Core, here are some of the mathematical practices that are embedded into the new standards. And we won't go over them all, you can read on your own, but some of them are very self-explanatory. Number 6, attend to precision. That just means get the right answer. That's one that's embedded in almost every lesson, get the right answer. Or model with mathematics, number 4. Or number 7, look for and make use of structure, the patterns in numbers and number sense, okay? And this, I think, has probably been the biggest shift in the new standards. And so the mathematical practices really go into how it's taught every day, and the shift in the new standards really is a change from back to when I guess we went to school, right? And how it was about learning algorithms and ways to solve problems and kind of memorizing. The new standards really want to put more of a focus on not just, again, learning those ways and solving problems, but also really understanding what's going on in mathematics, have a really deeper understanding of numbers and number sense and how mathematics works. Let me give you 2 quick examples to kind of help bring this in light a little bit. One was when I was a principal in Sheffield many years ago. I was asked to come down and substitute basically for a teacher in the 3rd grade. She had an emergency, I had to take a phone call, and I had to kind of go in the classroom. It was at the end of the fractions chapter, and she was working on just reviewing for the test the next day. So I came in, and it was my job just to kind of review fractions and go over it. So how many of you remember like fraction bars with yourself or your children about, you know, coloring in? You cut a fraction bar into 5 pieces and 3 pieces are shaded in, and that's 3/5, right? We've all kind of seen that. So I'm going on the board and I'm practicing some and drawing some on the board, and we're getting them all right, and everyone's raising their hand, they all know it, they're prepared for the test. And then I decided to just, I'll mix it up a little bit. So I wrote on the board, made a bar and cut it into 5 pieces. And I didn't shade in the first 3. I shaded in like the first one, the 3rd one, the 4th one. And so I skipped number 2, and number 5 was also open. And I said, okay, what's this fraction? And it was dead silent, and one hand kind of did this. And so I thought, okay, does this class really understand what fractions are about? Or do they more learn about the patterns and the examples that were consistently gone over in the classroom, but if I just mixed it up just a little bit, they just didn't get it. So I knew on the test, I knew they were going to get A's and B's because the test matched the book and matched what was taught in the classroom, but I wasn't certain that they really understood the mathematical understanding of fractions based on that one example I did on the board. Okay? Does that make sense a little bit? Okay, good. Now let me give you one more example this year with my own daughter, who was in 5th grade at Nord. She came home one of the first days of school, and she had a paper, and it was on decimals. And the problem was problem number 3. And when we were young, you know, learning decimals was all about what? Adding and subtracting decimals. Make sure that your decimal point is lined up. And you're going into, you know, multiplying and dividing, and you count how many decimals are in the problem and you move over that many space. We've all done that, right? So the question number 3 came up on this enVisionMATH homework, and she said, Dad, I need help, I can't get this. And so I looked at the problem, and there was a number line, and there was, I think, 0.32, 0.33, 0.34, 0.35. And the question was, write down 2 numbers that are between 0.33 and 0.34. She didn't know what to do. And I said, okay, let's go back a moment. Tell me a number between numbers 1 and 2. Well, there's a half, or 1 and a half, and so on. I said, okay, good. So let's go to 0.33 and 0.34. And we went over that there's 0.331, 0.332, 0.333, all the way to 0.34. And so we did it a couple more times, and I said, you know, when you think about it, between any 2 numbers in the world, there are an infinite number of numbers. You could just keep going. 0.33331, 0.33332. And she was like, I kind of see that now. That is the shift or the difference between, I think, some of the old standards and some of the new standards. Now, I want to also mention this. The standards are broad standards. They're not the curriculum. They're not exactly what's supposed to be taught in the classroom. They're the overarching ideas, and it's the job of the teachers and their curriculum maps and everything else to kind of get the kids to that point, okay? So I'm going to step off my soapbox a little bit and just talk about, you know, one thing that's going on right now, nationally in Ohio and locally even, is the question about the Common Core. It has become politicized, like many things in America become politicized. And so I often hear things like, I don't like the Common Core, etc. And so I just want you to think about that for just a moment and say, you know, when we talk about this, I want you to really be specific about it. In front of you, I have, for your reference, if you'd like to take one tonight, you're more than welcome to. But I have 2 documents. One is just it's called a crosswalk. And it basically shows you the old standards back in 2001 and the current new standards so you can compare. And then if you really want to look at this document here, these are the mathematics standards K through 12, which go a little bit more deeper. And I only bring it up because, you know, I could flip to any page in here or any page in here, and I could say, if you have a problem with the Common Core, that's fine. If you can articulate and say, you know, I have a problem with the 5th grade or 3rd grade where, you know, the algebra that has been brought down is just not developmentally appropriate for my kid. It's just too difficult, I think, for most 3rd graders. We can talk about that, and I might even agree with you. That's something we can talk about. If you haven't really looked at the standards, though, I ask you to do that before you really are sure, because the problem might not be the Common Core, the standards. The problem might be state testing. We all know there's been an increase in state testing. How many of you don't like the increase in state testing? Miss Waller, do you like the increase in state testing? She says, teachers, do you like the increase in state testing? No, I don't either. Mr. Sayers, superintendent? No, no. So maybe that's the issue that you really have a problem with, the increase in state testing, and we can talk about that. Or maybe you're fine with the increase in testing. Maybe the question for you is not really the Common Core or the standards or the testing. Maybe it's the curriculum or the presentation of it. Maybe you just didn't like that homework sheet that came home the other day and how it was presented. That's something you can talk about. That's something you can write a note to and send in your teacher and say, boy, I did not like this sheet here. We had trouble. I did not want to argue with my kid tonight, so please review this in school the next day. I've had many nights already this year that I've been frustrated with my 2nd grade daughter and 5th grade daughter. What do you mean you don't know this? But you know, that's something we can talk about. Overarching themes of just, I don't like the Common Core, I don't like X, Y. That's something that, you know, we need to get more specific, and we want your input, we want your focus. And I will say this, that if you are struggling with some of the homework sheets or you have some issues with some of it, again, please feel free to talk to your teachers about it. And they are implementing a brand new program. If you were in your job, nurse, accountant, running a restaurant, and you implemented a new program or technology that's supposed to keep track of patient care or how many people, you know, visit your restaurant at night, there's a learning curve. So the teachers need the learning curve as well. And that's one of the reasons that we're waiting till October to the parent nights. They needed to be comfortable a little bit in what we were presenting and showing you that you can access at home. They need to be comfortable as well. So we thank you for your patience, and we thank you for giving us the opportunity to give them professional development and work with it. And we are asking you to give us, a full year, because that homework that's sent home that you don't care for or don't like, they're trying it out. Next year, they may not use that sheet that goes home, possibly. They might use something else. And that's okay. That's okay. The textbook, the enVisionMATH program, is not the curriculum. It's to help support the standards, what they do with it, and hopefully it's done well. But what they do with it is that's the meat, because they're the professionals. They know what they're doing in the classroom. And again, we're not going to go against 10, 20, 30 years of expertise. If a teacher sees the gaps with the new standards versus the old standards, they need to fill it in. I mean, they know what they're doing. If they need to take a couple extra days to do that, they're more than welcome to do that. I'm not telling them how to do it or when to do it. There's no time frame. Get this lesson done by this date. That's their job, and we trust them. So I just wanted to step on that soapbox just for a moment and hope you understand that. Just to go in a little bit of why enVisionMATH, we formed a mathematics committee last year, and the teachers really kind of drove the committee. When it was time to look at different programs, I asked them, how do you want to do it? They said, well, we don't want just representatives from each grade level. We want every teacher who teaches math in K through 6. If they want to see a pilot or they want to see a presentation about all these different programs, we want to have them all come. And so we had to get subs for everyone who wanted to participate. And so they kind of drove that. We looked at basically 5 programs. And real quick, Saxon Math, the program we've had for quite a while here in the district, they did not change to move toward the new standards. And I don't know many districts that have Saxon Math anymore, if any, really. Then there were some districts that use everyday math and investigations. And Pearson developed enVisionMATH and investigation, and McGraw-Hill, those are the 2 big ones, did My Math and everyday mathematics. And it's kind of on a spectrum. Believe it or not, enVisionMATH and My Math over there on the left-hand side, a little more traditional. Investigations and everyday mathematics is a little bit more on this end of the spectrum, where like you might spend a whole day or 2 days on one problem. So Amherst is not this end of the spectrum kind of town. We're more traditional, family values. We believe in education. We come out and support it. And so we felt that given the options, enVisionMATH and My Math were the 2 we really wanted to look at. And just so you know, those are the 2 that really are being looked across not only the state, but probably the country. We adopted enVisionMATH. I know that Avon chose My Math. Avon Lake chose enVisionMATH. Firelands chose My Math. Wellington, Keystone, I can go on and into the Cuyahoga County schools as well. Those are the 2 that people are looking at when it comes down to making a decision. We chose enVisionMATH because we felt it was more rigorous and was more aligned to the Common Core, the new learning standards, and that's why we chose that program. But honestly, when it comes down to it, those were the 2 that everyone's looking at, okay? So after last year, we recommended that to the Board of Education. It was approved, and it was then purchased and implemented over the summer at the beginning of this school year. Okay. Any questions so far as I'm moving along? Okay. Excuse me. Good. Well, feel free to raise your hand if you come to a question. I know you want to get to the meat of what can I use at home, so we're getting there. We're almost there. But a quick overview of the enVisionMATH program. And we're not going to go over this too much because you're going to have a chance to see this online when I show you the resources and what you can use at home. But let's just go over it real quick. There are 16 topics or chapters, but they're called topics in enVisionMATH. And in K through 5th grade, there are 130 lessons for the year. When you think about 180 school days, That's like 50 extra days. But really, some lessons take more than 1 day, of course. There are days for testing, chapter tests. There are days for reviewing that. There are days for introducing a new chapter. So, but there is some freedom in there to then adjust the program. And again, if the teacher needs more time to fill a gap somewhere, then certainly they're more than welcome to do that. We don't have like some districts where there's a chart that everyone must be on this lesson for every day of the year. Now there are 4 parts to every lesson. There's the daily review, which is a quick review of a combination of different standards. Kind of similar to Saxon Math in that there might be a measurement question, a geometry question, an algebra question, just to review some prior knowledge. Then there's the problem-based interactive learning part, which is like a hands-on part where teachers work with students with hands-on materials in the classroom and do an interactive learning kind of lesson piece to it. Then the third part of the lesson is I have visual learning animation, but that's just traditional guided practice and independent practice. And I'll show you the part of the visual learning animation that's with each lesson. There's a video for every lesson that you're going to see an example of tonight that the teachers can use, and it's also in the student book, and we'll go over that in a little bit. And then finally, there's a daily quick check. That's the last part of the lesson where it's like a quick 3, 5, 6 question assessment of what happened that day so that teachers can make adjustments in their instruction and even homework. Now, because it's the new program, some teachers are hitting every part of the lesson in those 4 parts, and some are hitting 3. And we've had professional development with some practical advice on what parts you can kind of work your way into. Same with the game centers and virtual manipulatives. There's, again, the teachers can't do everything all right now, but they are slowly working in it. So if there are differences between classrooms and friends and neighbors, as you call, that's why. Again, we're not telling teachers exactly how to do it, so they're implementing things as they know best because they are the experts. And finally, I just want to mention this part. There is professional development in the program for teachers. There's a daily video for every lesson for teachers to watch, which goes over, here are the standards for today. And here's what you kind of need to remember, you need to know. Here's what you need to make sure the kids understand or check upon if there's a misconception. And it's really good. It's about 3 to 4 minutes usually. And that's, I encourage teachers to watch that, before they plan for the next week and so on. It's for them to kind of really give them kind of an update of what's going on in the lesson for them before they go out and teach the lesson. Okay? Any questions about this quick overview? Yes? Excellent question. That was asked by another parent at the NORD meeting last week. And I'm going to contact Pearson and let them know about that, because that's excellent. It's not on the student, what you can access as a parent, but that would be excellent for parents to watch. And I will say this, this program and the platform, which you'll see tonight of online resources, that is brand new come August 2015. It's only a few months old. And so we're one of the first districts in the country, along with like Avon Lake, to have the program. And we're one of the very first districts to have it integrated with PowerSchool. And I'll show you that in a little bit of how you access it online with your student account. And we'll talk about that in a moment. But they did send a survey already in the first month or so. They sent it to me to send to the teachers. They already wanted feedback of this new platform, and we did give a lot of feedback, or hopefully we did. I did. I'm sure teachers gave feedback too. And so, but I'm going to contact them and let them know that, because that's an excellent point. So thank you for bringing that up. Any other questions? Okay. Let me talk a moment about this before I get to the actual demonstration of the online resources. Every time a school district adds a new program or a new curriculum or whatever, especially nowadays there's new digital resources, online textbooks and all that. And whenever you purchase one of those, usually they have their own website and own platform, and you have to have another username and password to remember with your long list of usernames and passwords. I personally have a three-page Word document of all my usernames and passwords for everything in the district. You may have started that at home for your children. Well, Pearson is the company that developed enVisionMATH, but they also created the Power School program, which what we use to our management system. How many of you have a Power School parent account to check grades and homework and good? Okay. Well, one of the benefits of connecting with Pearson is that it's integrated. So when you need to log into the math resources, you're gonna have your child log into Power School. So that username and password that we passed out tonight, I will show you how to log in. It's the same location that you sign in for your parent account. And I'll show you that in a moment. The benefit to that is, and many districts don't have the integration, we're lucky to have it. If we were to add more products or textbooks or curriculum from Pearson for science, social studies, reading language arts, from now on it connects with Pearson. So if we had more curriculum, you will simply go into Power School and you will go to your math class, your science class, and that'll take you into the online textbook and resources instead of, so it's all one username and password. Just so you know, this is also the username and password that we're going to have for interacting with students and teachers. We've created a school Gmail account for all students in the district. That's also the same username and password. They can access their Google account. It's a school district monitored email account where they in the future will be able to email teachers back and forth and save things on their Google Drive, documents, etc. Again, we're trying to hopefully integrate everything so it's one username and password. And those usernames and passwords will stick with them all the way through. If you notice, the usernames are your child's graduation year, their last name, and the last 4 digits of their student ID, which I think they use for their lunch number, right? So that's going to be consistent all the way through. The password is randomly generated, so some of you, it might be an interesting password. At Nord the other night, I had one, it was ungodly 0. I apologize to the parent. Some of those we can possibly change if they're very long or they're just not quite right. But that's just generated, that if we ever needed to change for security reasons, we could in the future, okay? All right. So, any questions about that? Yes?
So the Google accounts, do parents have access to those accounts, or are those just the kids have?
You have the username and password right there in front of you, so yes. Yeah, you have access to their Gmail and everything. We are starting to use it in some older grade levels, like the high school. You haven't seen it at home in K through 2. No one's seen it yet. It's just in looking toward the future, we had to prepare all of this and set it all up. So again, we're not going to throw all this at you at once. We're slowly adding pieces here and there. But in order to make this work, we had to generate all of this and set up the foundation to make all this hopefully be efficient and effective for all of you. Okay? But yeah, that's the same username and password for their Power School account and their Gmail account. Okay? Any other questions before I go to the actual demonstration? Okay. What I'm going to show you in a moment is how you can log in online to the online resources through the Power School account, your child's Power School account. And we'll look at an example of the daily videos. The same daily video that's for each lesson in the program that the child can watch at school, you can watch at home. So you can see exactly what they kind of use in the classroom. Now again, your child may come home and say, "What did you do math today?" "I don't remember." "Okay, well let's watch the video. You watched it in school today?" "No, we didn't watch it in school today." Okay, well, that's a possibility because, again, every teacher is using some parts and not others. And I'll show you in a moment how the video that you can watch and they can show in the classroom It's also on the student page at the top, so they may choose to do the visual on the student page versus doing the video, and we'll show you in a moment. At home, you can access the resource pages like the practice sheets, the reteaching, the enrichment. You can access vocabulary cards you can print at home. The center activities that the teachers have in the classroom, you can print out and set up at home if you like. And I'll show you there are 2 center activities. Usually the teachers know this is a 1 dot and a 2 dot. The 1 dot is the center activity. The 2 dot is the same center activity. It's just a little bit more difficult and challenging for students that need more enrichment. So I'll show you that. There's a student e-text, so the online textbook, which I'll show you in a moment. And then how to access the game center, an audio kind of interactive glossary, which can help at home, and math tools or your virtual manipulatives like base 10 blocks, math blocks, counters, etc. Okay? Any questions about any of those? Okay. Before I go into that, again, thank you for being patient during this part that I spoke quite a bit. My email's up there, mike_molnar@amherstk12.org. And again, if it's not just a question about enVisionMATH or the math program, but any question you have, again, in any of the areas I oversee, again, gifted, Title I, tutoring support, etc., please give me a call or email me. My door's always open. So let me just sign in using my parent or my student username and password. Okay, so there's my 2nd grade daughter. Is this kind of a screen that you can see when you log in as a parent account for? And we felt this integration was important because students should be able to log in school, at home, at grandma's. They should be able to log in and see their grades at any time also. So I think this is a benefit for that in addition to the enVisionMATH program. So, and I'm just following the directions on your sheet. If you want to follow along, you'll kind of see I'm just going along. But once you see it, if you're a visual learner, it's not too difficult. So now that I'm logged, my daughter's logged in, or I'm logged in as my daughter, we would go down here on the side to Pearson Courses. And again, you don't need to take notes because it's on that sheet. And what comes up is, again, the enVisionMATH program is integrated with her math class here at Powers and in the Power School program. This is where you would, if we added a science or social studies or reading program, you would log in, go to Pearson Courses, and it would be listed here under reading, science, etc. We have a Pearson course at the high school that Miss Lowe teaches for biology. They had a separate portal they would go in to do the online text. Well, it didn't work at the beginning of this year, and I had to tell her, well, there's a new way to do it. Have them go into a student account, and hers, on her student screens, is listed biology, and it has the link to go to the textbook and etc. So once you're in, you clicked on Pearson Courses, you could just go to the enVisionMATH Common Core Realized Edition. Now when you first log in for the first time, this screen won't come up. It's going to first come up and ask you a few questions. What grade your child in? What's your teacher's name? What grade level program do you want? What do you want your child, the child gets to pick their background picture, and then they also get to pick a little icon for themselves. There's a puppy, violin, bullseye, whatever. And so it'll ask you those couple questions, or your child asks the questions. And then once you've done that, then like you see here, you'll log in and go directly to this page here, what you see, and it's also on the sheet. But just know that the first time you have some questions to answer. Now if you notice on this sheet on the back of that sheet, you'll see the same visual. There are 3 parts to the online program. The green program circle, the orange, I guess, classes circle, and the blue grade circle. We're going to ignore the grade section right now, and you're probably not going to use that at all this year. There will be a enVisionMATH program does have online homework and assessments, tests that they can do online. That if the teacher assigned as an assignment, the student can do online, and you would see it come up like in here. It would say assignment due and give you the date. Again, We're not doing that right now. We're not going to overload the teachers or you or the students, but that is something that could come down the road. Maybe your teacher gets crazy and wants to try in the spring, or maybe it comes into play next year. There's no rush, but you're going to ignore that for right now. But you could go in here if we start assigning assignments and tests and see their assignments and well, I won't go into it now, but again, it's going to show those things. So right now, we're going to focus on just the programs and the classes section. May I borrow your sheet for a moment? Thank you very much. If you're on the back and you look at step 5, and we're at step 5 here, I kind of wrote down for you what's under each section. So it says the program circle gets you to the daily videos, the resource pages, like your practice, reteaching homework, etc., your vocabulary cards, and your center activities. Okay? So let's go in there now so you can see where those are and how it works. And again, we're going into the program circle right here. The old system for enVisionMATH, the actual platform, was very kind of complicated and difficult to use. This new one, I think, is much more user-friendly, and it's visually easier to navigate around. One option I want to point out over here, there's a thumbnail view and a list view. You could choose to view it by thumbnail, or you could do the list view. Personally, I prefer the list view because it just goes right down in order. So once you hit that program button, here you see basically is every topic or chapter. So let's just select one. Are we in topic chapter 3, 4? 4, let's go to 4. Well, let's go to 5 then. So you click on the chapter or the topic. Now we're in chapter or topic 5. And now you can see that there's a video, the vocabulary cards, and then each lesson. Whenever you see an eyeball, that's a video that you can watch, your child can watch. So when you get into the chapter, there's one video to like open and introduce the chapter. Usually it has to do with real world application. Like this one's collections for counting, so it might have to do with money or going to the store. So there's always a video to introduce the chapter or the topic. And then again, the vocabulary cards are right there. I'm not going to select it, but if you select it, it'll bring up a downloadable, printable document. You can do vocabulary cards for that chapter. So let's go into, lesson 5.4. Whenever you go into a lesson, again, it goes right in order. There's a Common Core review. We're not going to go over that, but that's something if you want to check it out, we can. But then there is the video for each lesson. So there's the video for lesson 5.4. And then there are your practice sheets, reteaching, and enrichment pages, and the center activities. Do you notice the 1 dot and the 2 dot? Again, the 1 dot is the general center activity. The 2 dot is the same center activity, just a little more challenging if you want to challenge your child, or that's what's set up in the classroom. Let's just watch or show a video. If you click on the eyeball, this is the video for the lesson 5.4. This is the video that can be shown in the classroom, and you can also watch at home if you so choose. I don't have speakers, so hopefully you can hear, but.
Why do you think this is called a 100 chart?
Now notice these videos are set up so that they stop every so often. You can see the little bars that go up and down here. Because it's an interactive video. This is for the teacher or for you at home to interact with the video. So when it gets to a point where if the student's listening and you're working, or the teacher's working with the children up on the board, they can, there's an interactive piece where the teacher might stop and have students answer the question. Or come up to the smart board and actually write something on the board to solve a problem or give an answer. Okay? So in class we might have a little discussion and then move on about the hundreds chart. Again, the pause for the teacher or for you at home to kind of go over that. How are the numbers arranged? Let's talk about this. What does the number chart show? We won't watch the whole video, but I just want to get you to feel for.
Numbers are in rows from left to right. When you get to the end of one row, the next number starts on the row below it. Use a 100 chart to find numbers before and after. How do you know 13 is 1 before 14?
Pauses, you interact with the students in the classroom or your child at home. Let's go over that. How do you know 13 is 1 before 14, okay? So you get a good feel for the video. There's a video for every lesson that can be used in the classroom or you can watch at home. Up here in the left-hand corner, there's a go back arrow. Again, pretty user-friendly. So you go back to this lesson. Let me just show you real briefly the practice sheet here for this lesson. This is what you might see for homework. Or you might want to check out the reteaching page at home. Again, usually the reteaching page, if you experienced in the past other programs also, kind of gives usually a little bit more information to help you a little bit. So let's say you get the practice sheet at home and students struggling with it and you're struggling with it. Before you start yelling, like we sometimes do. No, just kidding, we wouldn't do that. You might want to go to the reteaching page real quick and use that as a little bit of a guide to help you out. Or if you get to practice page and you want to check out the enrichment page, if your child got it pretty quickly, you can do that as well. And then let me just show you the center activities for this lesson. Here's the 1 dot. Play a game, and you can see, look at the numbers real quick on this center game. And then if I go back and click on the 2 dot center activity, the numbers might be a little bit more difficult, or it might be a little more difficult to just solve. So again, that's just an opportunity for you to do a little bit of enrichment at home. Go back. Again, does this look pretty user-friendly? Okay, good. You have questions?
I was just wondering, it says download, are these connected, or are we able to print them out?
Excellent question. When you go into practice, there's a download. Good. There's on the right for every one of these. Center activities, everything. You hit download, and it's just like anything else you download from the internet. It's a PDF. So it goes, I think it goes right to the desktop, I believe. Actually, I think, yeah. Well, your computer sets up differently. Some of you have it automatically download to desktop. Some of you have it go to like a download folder, whatever you have set up in your computer. Mine's set up to go to the desktop. So I hit download, it goes to the desktop. I go open it up, and I just hit print, and it goes to my printer. So it's pretty again, user-friendly. But that's always in the right-hand corner. Thank you for your question. Any other questions? So if I go back to the list, let me just make sure, thank you, that I hit upon each one of those. The daily videos, the resource pages, the vocabulary cards, and center activities.
So this is where the teachers are printing from?
They have, theirs looks very similar to this. Now they might have a few more things listed here, like their professional development videos on this sheet, on this page maybe for them. But that's, yeah, they use the same system. So this is what it looks like for them in the classroom. Yeah. Any other questions? Okay, so again, I think it's pretty user-friendly. Now this little green arrow here to go back. Yes, oh. That's another great question. There are not. And I believe there aren't in the teacher section either. The teachers have a hard copy manual that they could also copy from. That they have an answer document in their information also. So, but that is again another excellent question to send to Pearson, because again this is the student login, the student center. You know, it's not really the parent, portal. It's really for students. But that is an excellent question. I'll write down and contact Pearson about that. Okay. Any other questions about this program section? Thank you. Okay. Yes.
Now, is this replacing the worksheets that come home presently, or is this, we do this when they do their work, that assessment sheet to send back?
Well, most teachers are sending home these practice or reteaching enrichment pages. So you're getting, what's up here is what you're getting sent home. Yeah. It's just, for example, like my daughter forgot her homework or I think she was sick. So I luckily had access to this, so I went in and just printed it for her, and she did her homework that night instead of waiting to the next day. And we watched the video together, and she didn't get some of it, but we worked it out. Okay. So let me just go back again. I just kept going back until I got to the table of contents by chapter. If I go back one more, it should take me back to the main page, almost. Or I can hit this realize button at the top. That's like the home button. I can always go back to the home. Now let's look at the classes section real quick. Again, I think it's pretty user-friendly. It might be hard to see in the back. But this is also the part where if we wanted to start assigning things online like homework or tests, your student would see that in this section here. So like what assignments are not started yet, which assignments are in progress, which assignments have been completed. For right now, you're never going to see that because we're not assigning anything online. But this is also the spot where you can access some other tools, okay? I'm going to borrow your sheet once again. If you go to step 5 again, I have the classes circle gets you into the online student textbook, the game center, the glossary, and the math tools, which are all listed off to the side right here. There's a student edition, the game center, the glossary, and the math tools. Thank you. Let's go to the student edition real briefly. I think we were in lesson 5.4, is that correct? Okay. Now this is a section where it's the student textbook. Again, we purchased the program with not only all the online stuff, but we also purchased all of the hard copy stuff, the student textbooks, teacher copy pages, etc. We bought everything. So it takes you to this different section where let's go to topic 5. And this is where you're just going to have to play at home a little bit. You can see some of the things up at the top, like to zoom in or out. So let me see. And there, right here is where it says what page it is. So I'm just going to see if I can quickly go to lesson 5.4. On our surveys, we did tell Pearson that this could be a little more user-friendly. There we go. If I hit the projector over here, I can project it a little bit bigger. Okay, if I hit the double page, I can see both pages. Okay, and let me zoom out a little bit more real quick. I just wanted to show you this because I wanted to point out again. Do you notice how this visual learning bridge, they call it, matches the video? It's just a visual that's in the textbook or on the placemat that's for the students, but it matches the video. So if your child comes home and says, we didn't watch the video in class, be assured that they probably then instead just did it using the visual learning bridge on the sheet itself, okay? So the textbook here matches the video, which you can see at home, they can see in the classroom. And then again, I talked about that part 3 with this virtual animation and stuff. This is, again, guided practice and independent practice. So you can open this up and see what was done in school, in the classroom. So let me, any more questions about the student textbook? This is where you just have to play a little bit with your zooming in and out. And okay, so let me close this. Close this window. Oh, I closed too many windows. Which brings me to a good point. I mentioned, I think in step 6, thank you, you've been wonderful, thank you. One thing, you want to look at step 6 real quick. At the beginning of the year, we had issues with logging out and not being able to get back in, and we were just having a difficult time with this part. And for whatever reason, Pearson has some timing, so like after 20 minutes or so, it kind of closes you out. So that became an issue. But I want to mention that most pages has a sign out button. If you simply, like I just did, close the window without signing out, I think it might think that you're still logged in somewhere. So when you go to, like if I hit this button, I hope it goes back in. And if it doesn't, it thinks I'm still logged in somewhere else. It worked. So when you are finished with with the program or these online resources, make sure you always go to sign out before you just close the window. If not, you might have to restart your computer or clear your cache. That's in step 6. So I just wanted to point that out real quick. So let me go back into classes. We saw the textbook. We're not going to go in each one a lot, but let me just show you the Game Center. Click on the Game Center and you have access to the games in your grade level, but also in other grade levels. So if my daughter's in grade 2 games come up first, but if I scroll down, they can play kindergarten, 1st, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th grades, etc. So again, if your child is, you want to enrich your child, they want to go ahead a little bit, let them go ahead. Let them play some other games on their grade levels. Why not? Or they want to review some games in the future, that's also okay. I believe you have access, yes, like right now I only have access to grade 2 because my daughter's in grade 2. Okay, so that Game Center opened in a new window. There is no sign out, so I'm just going to close out of the window. That should be okay. Real quick, the glossary. Again, this is something you might want to just play with, but it's an audio glossary. So if you want to look up something, A to Z, fourths.
Fourths. When one whole is separated into 4 equal parts, the parts are called fourths.
So that might be something that can help you at home a little bit if you like, or your child can just play with. And then I won't go into math tools, but you can play with that at home. Those are the math tools that you get into virtual manipulatives and move counters around. And I think they're set up pretty nicely that they're interactive. So like if you're adding like base 10 blocks and putting them together, they will like suck together, right? And they will come apart. And there are so many things in there that you might want to try at home. I don't want to go over all that tonight because of course you're all able to look at that yourself and we can be efficient. So the orange classes bubble, or again, you can look up at the top here, is where you get the Student Edition, Game Center, Glossary, and Math tools. Yes?
In the past, you've had access to ISL math and various math for reading games. Is the district moving towards the Auburn Pearson Center, or will
Yeah, no. When I came on board here, this is my 3rd year, when I came on board 2 years ago, I mean, my goal was to, like I mentioned earlier, give the teachers the resources that they want to need. So there are many resources that we have, and most of them are, you know, we had different grade levels doing different things, and so now, like, they have access to, like, K through 6 access to IXL math, and accelerated math, accelerated reader, all the way through. Does that mean everyone uses it? No. Some teachers still pick and choose what they think is best for them and their students and how to get things across. So while they all have access to all of those different programs, they're free to use them as they see fit. And usually grade levels kind of are consistent, or maybe even the building, like 3, 4, or 5, 6. But sometimes, again, if in Nord, you know, with the different teams at Nord, they might just do things differently. Someone might say, I'm using accelerated math, and some might use IXL, and some might work, you know, just kind of in here. So it's available to them. And that's something, you know, we probably need to talk about, because it is difficult for parents if you have children in many grade levels, and I have IXL password and accelerated reader and all this other stuff. But again, we want teachers to have all the resources that they need and can use. Okay? Other questions while I'm in this section? Okay. I'll go back to the main section here. We're going to close in a moment. I think I've touched upon most of the things that you need. And everything I showed you right now is, again, I think it's all on that one sheet. And I think it's pretty user-friendly that anything you want to use at home, it's not too difficult to find. Play with a little bit. And I do think it's a great benefit that we're going through Power School. So you and your child can, especially as they get in the older grade levels, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th grade, they can check their grades and assignments for any subject area, but definitely for math as well, okay? Any other questions that are good for the group, or is there anything else that you'd like me to go over or touch upon? You've been a great audience, you've been patient and wonderful. I hope this has been helpful. We have been videoing the session so we can put this online for parents who weren't able to attend the session. And we'll put some of these documents up as well for parents. So if you have friends, neighbors who couldn't make any of the 3 parent nights, look for this online, and in a few days I'll get it up for everyone. And yes, one more.
Should our student access this daily, or is it just enrichment, or if they're having problems? I know it's a tool for us.
Yes.
That we can do math, introduce to the parents, so this is helpful, but should the student use this every day along with their homework that they're bringing home?
That's again really up to you as a parent. It's like what I said about the teachers. We're trying to make these resources available to you. Whatever can help or whatever is useful for you at home, feel free to use. And if you don't feel you need to use some of the pieces or parts, then that's certainly okay too. So it's really up to you and what you want to do. Okay. Now, if you'd like to stay after and go visit the lab, you're more than welcome to, and the teachers and I and Ms. Waller will be in there to help you if you want to play a little bit. If not, then we'll dismiss in a moment, but I just want to thank you again. If there's anything you need, please contact me or Ms. Waller or the teachers. And we'll be around if you didn't get an older child's username, password. If you have an older child in 4th, 5th, 6th grade, we can get that for you before you leave tonight on the same sheet if you like. So thank you again. I appreciate all you coming. You're wonderful parents. Thank you.